July 27th, more. Soon as the bus let us off, we hurried through the crowded station, cruised right up to the border of America and Mexico, and stood with our faces pressed against the towering fence looking into Tijuana. Me and Rondell, side by side, holding our group home bags and gripping the chain link with our free hands staring in. Here we were, the two remaining escaped lighthouse kids, tired as hell from another long bus trip, from sleeping outside in the cold, from eating as little as possible, and always having to look over our shoulders. But we made it. Nobody caught us. We were as far south as two people could get without leaving America. All we had to do now was join the line to our right, walk across the border with everybody else, and we'd be free. It was that simple. I peered through the fence. Somewhere on the other side were me and Rondell's brand new lives, and I wanted to catch a glimpse before we walked into it. What Mexico looks like. It was mad weird seeing across the border for the first time in my entire life, taking in the country where my grandparents were born, where my pop used to go visit his aunties and uncles and cousins every month before he got married, moved to Stockton and had kids. The day I was born, he hung a huge map of Mexico in Diego's wall, and it's still there, but I've never actually looked at it. Not really. Once I remember pulling up the bottom corner and tripping out on how much whiter the white paint underneath was, but mostly it just hangs there in the background, hardly visible, hardly registering in my mind. Mostly it just blends in with the rest of how our room's always been since I can remember. And now here I was, standing just outside the actual country, only inches away, studying all the little plywood shops along the roadside where people who looked like my grandparents sold oversized stuffed animals and colorful straw chairs and rolled up Mexican rugs and ponchos and churros and street tacos and blown up smiling Disney characters and every size, shape, and color piñata you could think of. Little Mexican kids darted in and out of all the cars stuck idling in traffic, selling packs of gum and cigarettes and shaved ice and batteries. And they were all brown like me. Everybody was. 100 different shades of brown hair and brown faces and brown eyes and brown arms and legs. But not just all the people. All of TJ seemed brown. The ghetto-looking boards that held up fruit stands, the dirty streets and sidewalks, the mangy dogs laying along the sides of the stock-looking buildings sleeping, the street signs written in both English and Spanish. But at the same time, it was colorful too. What they were selling, the rugs and chairs and ponchos and piñatas. It was like they were brown people living brown lives in a brown place who made bright colors to sell to America. Hey, Mexico, Rondell said, tapping me on the shoulder. He set down his bag and stared at me. Mexico, he said again. White people sat in cars facing us, waiting. The traffic lined up as far as you could see, everybody inching along, trying to get back home, get back to America, back to where it was clean and safe and their houses waited for them on quiet streets with locked doors. Sometimes they'd buy a souvenir, or a drink with a straw, or a pack of gum. Sometimes they'd roll down their window, pull in something colorful, place crisp American bills into brown hands, and then roll their window back up. But mostly they just waited, eyes focused straight ahead. Border Patrol cops leaned into every car, talked to every driver, scanned tires, back seats, popped open trunks, checked under hoods. Sometimes they wave a car over to the side for further inspection. Mexico, Rondell said again, holding his hands out. Hey, Mexico, I'm trying to tell you something. I locked eyes with this one Mexican kid, about me and Rondell's age, and I felt like I was lifting off my feet, floating into the air. He was leaning against a big wooden stand full of clay suns, the kind Mexican people like my gramps hang on the front of their houses to bring good luck and welcome guests. And he had every kind of sun you could think of. Big ones, little ones, smiling ones, laughing ones, mean ones. All of them made of orangish brown clay and hung on a warped wall so you could get a good view as you sat in traffic waiting to get back into America. But nobody stopped at his stand. No American people wanted his sons. As me and this kid were staring at each other, thinking our own thoughts, something clicked in my head. For the first time, I was Mexican, like him, like my pop and my gramps and all the people me and Diego picked berries with that day in the fields in Fresno. Me, Miguel Castaneda, I was the same as this kid selling suns. We were both tall and young and skinny. We both had short brown hair and bony elbows, and the ability to stare without blinking. But at the same time, I felt like a damn poser, because why was he on the Mexico side of the fence and I was on the American side? How did it happen like this? If our country is really so much better than Mexico, like everybody says, because we got more money and better schools and better hospitals, and less people get sick just by drinking water, then why should I be here and not him? Why was I on the better side of this big-ass fence? Just because my mom's is white? Because of the story my pop always told me about how Gramps snuck through a sewage drain, crawled in everybody's piss and shit just to make it to America? But that's nothing to do with me. What did I do? And what did this kid selling clay suns not do? I stared into the Mexican kid's eyes, and he stared right back, neither of us looking away or even blinking. But really, I was floating into the air, all the way up past the birds, past the clouds. We were the same, me and this kid, but we weren't the same at all, exact opposites even. He was real and I was fake. It all had to do with what side of the fence you were born on, and the fact that I was on the better side made me feel sick to my stomach. Rondell waved his big-ass black hand in front of my face and shouted, "Yo, Mexico!" I turned to face him. He shook his head and turned his palms up at me. "We going in there or what?" I looked back at the kid selling clay suns, but he was looking somewhere else now. He was concentrating on people passing him in cars. "Are we?" Rondell said. He grabbed my face and turned it so I had to look at him in the eyes again. "What's wrong with you, Mexico?" I shook out of his grip, said something I didn't expect. "I can't, man." "What you talking about?" "I can't go to Mexico." He frowned. "What you mean by that?" "I don't deserve it." Rondell looked at his shoes. He picked up his bag and hung it on his shoulder, and then looked at me again. "Why not? You from here, ain't you?" "No, I'm not," I said, looking back at the kid selling clay suns. He was sitting down now. I looked all around TJ, at the ghetto buildings and the narrow bridges and the run-down shops and beat-up roads. I felt something strange happening inside me, like when you watch your favorite team play a basketball game on TV and you want their asses to win so damn bad, almost to the point where you can't even watch, because if you watch, you might jinx them, might make them lose. And if that happened, you never forgive yourself. I turned back to Rondell. "I can't explain it, man. I just know it ain't right for me to go there yet." Rondell stood there for a sec, staring at me while I stared at Mexico. But we was all three of us supposed to be fishermen. I picked up my bag and looked at him. "I'm sorry about this, Rondell, but I really can't do it." Rondell started playing with the zipper on his sweatshirt again. He looked at Mexico and then back at me. "I could still go, though, right, Mexico?" "Hell yeah, Rondell, you can go." "'Cause I want to go be a fisherman." "I know, and you'll be the best damn one, man. I guarantee it." A little smile came on his face. "Why do you think I'll be so good?" I shifted my bag to the other shoulder and told him, "'Cause for one thing, man, you're patient as hell. You can just sit in one spot for hours. And second of all, I saw you play ball, yo. You got a natural talent for shit like that. Just trust me, man. You can be whatever you want." He nodded his head and then laughed a little. He put his hand on the fence and watched the people filing through the border on foot a few yards away. "Hey, Mexico," he said, turning back to me. "Maybe I could just go there tomorrow, though. I don't want to leave just yet. Is that okay?" "You ain't got to ask my permission, man." And then this thought came in my head, and I smacked Rondell on the shoulder with the back of my fist. "Yo, I got an idea. What if we go get us a fat meal somewhere, a place with waitresses and cloth napkins and all that gourmet kind of shit? You feel like some steak, man?" "I'm hungry as hell, Mexico." "Bet you ain't never had no filet mignon, though." "Nah," Rondell said, shaking his head. "What is it?" "Yo," I said, "I hear that kind of steak is sick, Rondo. It's supposedly like this thick." I held up my thumb and finger as far apart as I could get them. "And it tastes good?" "What'd I just tell you, man? It's the best steak you could buy. It's what all the rich people eat." Rondell nodded and scratched his head. A huge smile came on his face. "I bet I could eat like 3 of them mignons, Mexico." "You a straight lie, Rondo." "Watch, let's go right now." I smacked him on the shoulder again, said, "Yo, check this plan. We go track down the best filet mignon in San Diego, right? And then we crash on the beach tonight like we've been doing. And then first thing tomorrow morning, we'll buy you a map of the streets of Mexico, and then we'll come back here. And you can go across and be a fisherman, and I'll stay here until I figure some shit out. That cool with you?" Rondell nodded, excited as hell, and we both looked back toward America for where all the fanciest-ass restaurants in all of San Ysidro might be.